So good morning to you all. I want to welcome you to this ceremony on behalf of the University of Regina. We are in Treaty 4 territory here in Regina, Saskatchewan, and Treaty 6 for our campus in Saskatoon. These are the homelands of the Cree, the Saulteaux, Dakota, Lakota, and Nakota peoples, and the traditional land of the Métis. I'd like to begin by acknowledging some very, very special guests, and it's with great pleasure that I make this acknowledgement. First of all, from the High Commission of India to Canada, High Commissioner Ajay Bisaria, the Deputy High Commissioner Anshuman Gaur, from Global Affairs Canada, David Hartman and Andrew Ng, from the Canada Border Services Agency, Mike Leahy, Madeleine Kiameh, and Suzanne Elkader. From the University of Regina, our University Librarian, Brett Waytuck. With me here in the boardroom at Regina, Ali King, our Curator and Preparator. From the University of Regina International Division, the Acting Associate Vice President, Haroon Chaudhry. From the Mackenzie Art Gallery here in Regina, a very important partner of ours in the city, John Hampton. And Divya Mehra, the artist who first identified Murti. We are here today to do something that is very important. And I want to begin with a remark that truth and reconciliation with Canada's Indigenous people is so very important to Canada as a nation, and certainly to the post-secondary community, including our own university. The University of Regina takes this very seriously, and it is fundamental to our new strategic plan, which has a Cree name, Kakia Kiwakamakanaawak. We have a 45-year history with First Nations University of Canada, and Indigenous post-secondary education is crucial to the future success of the province of Saskatchewan. We are trying to help overcome the damaging legacy of colonialism and to right some of the historical wrongs that persist today. Okay. So in that spirit, the repatriation of artifacts is another way to help repair a damaging colonial legacy for our university and for our country. And I want particularly to thank two people for bringing us to this point today. First of all, John Hampton at the Mackenzie Gallery for caring for the statue for all of these years on behalf of the University of Regina. And Divya Mehra for recognizing the statue's identity and beginning this process of repatriation. Doing the right thing is important. The statue may be small in size, but it is very important. It is very large in importance. It depicts the deity Annapoorna, the Queen of Varanasi. It is spiritually important to India and to that city and must be returned. It is symbolic of a mutually respectful relationship between our countries. And I do want to say that the University of Regina has a very strong relationship with India, that great country. We have 1,500 students from India on our campus. We're very proud to have them. We're delighted to have them. They're wonderful people. And we have many educational partnerships with institutions in India. So we hope we can build this relationship in the years to come for the benefit of both countries. I'd now like to invite the High Commissioner Bisaria, to speak.
Very good morning, namaskar. Great to see everyone. Dr. Thomas Chase of University of Regina, my friend David Hartman, whom I see on the screen, Ms. Alex King, Curator, and Divya Mehra ji, and all other colleagues and friends I see. Very, very warm greetings for Diwali. We are in the Diwali season. We pretty much in India celebrate this festival of lights until we are into Christmas. So we are in the happy festive season. And I'm absolutely delighted to be part of this wonderful, wonderful ceremony, which is, so good and so encouraging at so many different levels to receive this wonderful statue of Annapoorna on behalf of the Government of India. Special thanks first and foremost to Dr. Thomas Chase, of the University of Regina for facilitating this return. And I would like to acknowledge the efficiency and the work and the dedication of your entire team at the University of Regina, which made this possible and led us to this point where we can have an event of this nature. I want to also recognize the role which you mentioned, played by researchers, scholars, especially Ms. Divya Mehra, for unearthing the facts about the statue's acquisition. When we first heard about it, it seemed like a wonderful story, and then we added more flesh and granularity to the provenance of the statue and its past. So that was so wonderful. I also want to thank the curators at the Peabody Essex Museum for their scholarship in identifying this statue. As you mentioned, Dr. Chase, Annapoorna is a revered goddess in India, the goddess of food and nourishment, and I understand worshipped as a manifestation of goddess Parvati, the consort of Lord Shiva. And as you alluded to, in India, we have some temples dedicated to her, and particularly the Annapurna Devi Mandir temple, which is in Varanasi. At another level, this is absolutely wonderful, because what it underlines to me is the strength of this relationship, the maturity of this relationship, the friendly and voluntary return of this statue uh, is a marker of the depth of this strategic partnership. And as you mentioned, it also underlines the values that Canada believes in. And I want to especially thank you for mentioning those values and referring to how what gets us to this point in terms of the motivation which allows you to go above and beyond and facilitate this return. I think at another level, it adds to the people-to-people and cultural ties between India and Canada. As you would be aware, we have 1.6 million Indo-Canadians who make Canada their home. And this is a diaspora which is fully integrated into Canadian life. It adds dynamism, resilience to the Canadian fabric. And this includes folks in leadership positions in politics, in business, but certainly also in the arts and certainly in the education front that you represent. We know that last year and this year, about 230,000 Indian students have chosen Canadian universities and colleges for higher education. Many of these students, as you mentioned, are at the University of Regina, where you also have many faculty members of Indian origin. And all this, I think, adds a very, very special dimension to this relationship. Also, I feel the high quality of education and the values that define Canadian universities are in many ways reflected today in this action, in the prompt action to return a cultural icon to India. Once the facts became known to the university, and I think there is a great deal of evidence of the respect that you hold for diversity, for other cultures, and I think all this is wonderful, wonderful news for all of us. I also acknowledge the presence here of our colleagues from Global Affairs Canada and the border agencies. We work very closely together in multiple sectors, but today is a moment of pride for all of us working in this relationship to see such a manifestation of positivity in this relationship. We propose to hold this statue as we make arrangements for its shipment to India, but it will find a place of pride wherever it is displayed for a while at the High Commission, but also in India. And I think it will stand not just as an artifact of Indian heritage, but also a symbol of the growing Indo-Canadian friendship and partnership. thank you very much for making this possible and for inviting me to this event. Thank you.
Thank you for those very kind remarks, High Commissioner Bisaria. Before I ask David Hartman to speak, I would simply like to add a very happy Diwali to you and your colleagues, and to mention that a large part of the leadership of our student union is also celebrating Diwali right now. You mentioned that Annapoorna is the goddess of, among other things, food. This very kind executive team of ours dropped off yesterday some wonderful Diwali sweets here in the office, and we've been enjoying them greatly over the last day. So a very happy Diwali and a celebration of that wonderful Diwali sweet. I just wanted to mention that. So thank you again so very much. Mr. Hartman from Global Affairs Canada, could we call upon you now to speak?
Indeed, thank you very much, Dr. Chase. And again, Dr. Chase and High Commissioner Bisaria, thank you both so very much for convening this important event and for the opportunity to speak on behalf of the Government of Canada, including Global Affairs Canada, the Canada Border Services Agency, and the Department of Canadian Heritage. I also want to extend my heartfelt appreciation to the University of Regina and the Mackenzie Art Gallery for taking the initiative to return the Annapoorna sculpture to India. We sincerely applaud and fully support the efforts that have led to this virtual gathering here today. Canada recognizes that the illicit import and export of cultural property impoverishes the heritage of a nation, and we are pleased that the Mackenzie Art Gallery and the University of Regina have taken it upon themselves to return this statue to India. The return further expresses Canada's ongoing commitment to combating the illicit movement of cultural property encountered at our borders and to facilitate returns whenever possible. And we sincerely again appreciate that the gallery is now conducting a broader review of your over 5,000 pieces for ethical acquisition. Canada first returned property to India in 2015 when former Prime Minister Stephen Harper presented a Parrot Lady statue to Prime Minister Narendra Modi in Ottawa, affirming our strong bilateral cultural ties. Deepening our bilateral relationship is about more than just government-to-government relations, as the High Commissioner has eloquently suggested. It is also about our citizens and institutions taking and making lasting connections. 5 years after the return of the Parrot Lady statue, the University of Regina and the Mackenzie Art Institute continue to strengthen our cultural relations with India with this very important and significant gesture. I wanted to just take a few moments now and mention a few points about the Canada-India bilateral relationship. The growth of India's arts and cultural sector, our common values, the historical bonds shared between Canada and India has really created a tremendous and favorable conditions for innovative Canada-India collaborations in the cultural sphere. Some of these collaborations involve people-to-people exchanges that further enrich and strengthen the Canada-India ties. As many of you will know, on a per capita basis, Canada is home to one of the world's largest South Asian communities abroad, with approximately 4% of Canadians being of Indian ethnic origin. As the work of Ms. Mera attests, working with diaspora experiences and narratives is really an enriching experience, and we are truly grateful how artists like Ms. Mera contribute to forging stronger connections between Canada and India. Indeed, I think as has been mentioned already this morning, foreign students can also serve as a bridge between countries, and as the University of Regina appreciates, India is now the largest single source country for students coming to Canada. At the end of last year, there were over 200,000 Indian foreign students studying across Canada, as the High Commissioner has suggested, and these individuals are making lifelong connections that may continue to contribute to Canada-Indian relations in the years and decades to come. So building on our strong cultural ties, Canada and India continue to strengthen what is a dynamic bilateral relationship based on friendship and personal connections. And as always, there is much more that our two countries can do together. Indeed, as Foreign Minister Champagne said to his Indian counterpart, External Affairs Minister Jaishankar, just a few days ago, the best in our bilateral relationship is certainly yet to come. And today's ceremony is certainly a step in the right direction. So thank you both very much for this opportunity to address everyone today.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hartman, for those remarks. I'm now going to ask Ms. Ali King to speak to tell us a little bit more about the statue, its history and significance, and the process of repatriating it to its home country.
Firstly, hello to our esteemed guests. Am I being picked up here? Oh yeah, there we go. Technology in the time of COVID, eh? It's a delight to be included in this process and on this call. My name is Alex King. I'm the Curator Preparator for the university's art collections. And I work with the art collections primarily on campus, but I'm also very fortunate in that I get to work with the Mackenzie Art Gallery as well. And it's interesting because the university's institutional history and the Mackenzie's institutional history are bound together, and the Annapoorna statue that we're discussing today is also a part of that foundation. So local lawyer Norman Mackenzie died in 1936, and on his passing he left a large bequest of artwork of cultural importance to the University of Saskatchewan, Regina College, which is now the University of Regina. That included 374 artworks, plus the funds to build a gallery in which to house and exhibit them. So in 1953, sometime later, the Norman Mackenzie Art Gallery was born, now known as the Mackenzie Art Gallery, or the MAG. And it opened as the university's own art gallery and Saskatchewan's first public gallery. The Mackenzie later became independent of the University of Regina, but both organizations maintain a unique partnership to this day. After separation, the Mackenzie continued to act as custodian for the University of Regina collection, which includes the original Norman Mackenzie bequest. So the statue's journey to repatriation started with our honored guest, Divya Mehra. Ms. Mehra was invited by the Mackenzie to produce an exhibition. That exhibition is actually open right now at the gallery. It has the very moving and appropriate title, "From India to Canada and back to India, there is nothing I can possess which you cannot take away." Part of this project involved conducting research into collections under the Mackenzie's care. During this period, Ms. Mehra identified what we now know to be the Annapoorna statue, which was mistakenly catalogued as a representation of the god Vishnu. Guessing that the sculpture may have been misattributed, she located the original compendium of Norman Mackenzie's notes, which detailed his collecting trips through Asia and Africa. One transcript was found to describe the exact circumstances under which Mackenzie acquired the statue. Through this text, Ms. Mehra discovered that during a trip to Varanasi, India in 1913, the sculpture was stolen on Norman Mackenzie's behalf from a shrine on the banks of the Ganges. Mackenzie had no concerns at the time about the harm that his actions would cause. After making this discovery, expertise was sought from Dr. Shah, the Curator of Indian and South Asian Art at the Peabody Essex Museum. Dr. Shah identified the sculpture as the Hindu goddess Annapoorna from her female physical characteristics and the fact that she holds a bowl of kheer in one hand and a spoon in the other. These are common elements that are associated with Annapoorna. This attribution makes sense since she is the queen of the city of Varanasi and the goddess of food, as we've already said. She nourishes and strengthens the body and also the soul through enlightenment. John Hampton, who is joining us today, the interim director and CEO at the Mackenzie, then brought this to the university's attention and made a recommendation that the statue be deaccessioned and, if possible, repatriated. So this brings us here today, and we are delighted to have a partner in the Indian High Commission as we work through this important process. So over this process, I've really been reflecting on the shameful circumstances under which the statue was stolen. I reflect on the pain and confusion that Annapoorna's worshippers must have felt making this discovery that their beloved queen and deity had vanished, likely never knowing what had occurred. So we hope that the statue's return is able to provide some answers and contribute to community well-being and healing, as well as contribute to India's rich cultural legacy. Unfortunately, this situation is all too common in collections all over the world. Colonial and imperial artifacts are often the foundation of Western museum and gallery collections, as this case demonstrates. These objects hold their own important stories, and they also tell us about the widespread history of cultural exploitation and our own institutional choices. The global museum community is having long overdue conversations about our responsibilities and the ethical principles and practices that guide us as good stewards of cultural property. Holding on to misappropriated items does not reflect who we want to be. This discovery will prompt a review of items acquired before provenance standards were practiced. And respectful relationships with origin communities and countries are so important through these kinds of processes. Transparency and honesty, even when they reveal painful truths, must be recognized so we can better understand these harmful colonial legacies, address them and not perpetuate them. There is a lot of work that remains. So on the request of the Indian High Commission, we have actually brought the Murti here today. If Tom would like to show it to you, we can do that.
I'd be delighted to, and while we're preparing to do that, I'd invite Divya Mehra, whose work and whose knowledge have brought us actually to this day, to say a few words if she would care to do so. Divya, would you care to say a few words?
Hi, everyone. I'm really excited that we're all here today and that this is happening. It's sort of unbelievable that it started with just an invitation from John to work with the Mackenzie and to have the opportunity to go through the collection and learn a little bit about what Norman Mackenzie had done and what he had stolen, and to now be able to return this Murti of Annapoorna means like so much. So I'm so happy that we're all here today and thrilled that this Murti is going to be able to return to India. Thank you.
Thank you very much. There we are. I don't know if we can see that. Can you see that clearly? Okay,
Yes,
I don't want anything to happen to it. Yes. So here is the statue, which after approximately 1 century, 100 years, will be returning home to India. Sometimes we have a chance to rectify mistakes of the past, and today is a great example of this. We can't atone for the past, but we can do the right thing in the present. We are fully committed to repatriating the statue. You have our word. We will work through the logistics of doing so together, and we will follow the lead of the High Commission of India in so doing. We will treat this statue with great respect according to your direction and best practices. So I am delighted at this point officially to begin the repatriation process. Thank you very much for your understanding and patience and for your commitment to growing good relations between Canada and India. Thank you so much for attending today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. And High Commissioner, I would simply say when travel again becomes possible, you and your staff from the High Commission are of course always welcome to visit us here in Regina. It's a little chilly here today, but it will get warmer as the year goes on, and we'd be delighted to see you and any member of the High Commission staff on our campus at any time.
We'll be delighted to join you there, and thank you so much. We respectfully and humbly accept this beautiful statue virtually, and I'm sure we'll work out the logistics on how we get the statue here physically.
Thank you so much, and thank you to all for joining us this morning. It is a great occasion, and thank you for your part in it, individually and collectively. Have a good morning.
Thank you also very much.
Thank you.